The morning fog clings to everything, turning familiar streets into something alien. I've walked this route to the corner store thousands of times, but today feels different. Maybe it's because I'm out earlier than usual, or maybe it's the way my arthritis is acting up, making each step a reminder that I'm not as young as I used to be. A cat darts across my path, disappearing into an alley. Something about its movement catches my eye, too quick, too desperate. Then I hear it, the soft clatter of a trash can lid. Hello! I call out, taking a few steps into the alley. Is someone there? The sound stops. In the dim light, I make out a small figure crouched behind a dumpster. My first thought is it's just another homeless person, but then I catch a glimpse of tangled blonde hair, and my heart nearly stops. Lila. My voice comes out as barely more than a whisper. The figure freezes. I know those eyes. I've seen them in countless family photos, in my dreams, in the missing person posters that still hang in shop windows around town. My granddaughter. My Lila, who disappeared 8 months ago. Sweetheart, is that really you? She's thinner, so much thinner, and her clothes are filthy. But it's her. I'd know her anywhere. Gran? Her voice is rough, like she hasn't used it in a while. I want to run to her, scoop her up in my arms, but something in her posture stops me. She's coiled tight, ready to bolt. Instead, I lower myself carefully to the ground, ignoring the protest in my knees. I'm right here, baby. I'm not going anywhere. She said you wouldn't want me anymore. The words hit me like a physical blow. Who said that, Lila? She shakes her head violently, shrinking further into herself. I'm not supposed to tell. She'll be mad. My mind races.
She.
Not they.
Not he. She.
You must be hungry, I say, keeping my voice steady despite the rage building inside me. I was just heading to get some breakfast. Would you like to come with me? We could get those chocolate chip pancakes you always loved. I'm not allowed. Her voice breaks. She'll know. Lila, sweetheart, look at me. I wait until those familiar blue eyes meet mine. No one is going to hurt you anymore. I promise. She takes a small step forward, then another. When she's close enough, I can see the bruises on her arms, partially hidden by her long-sleeved shirt. My hands shake as I fight to maintain my composure. Can we? She hesitates, glancing over her shoulder. Can we go to your house instead? Of course we can. I stand slowly, offering my hand. She stares at it for a long moment before taking it, her tiny fingers ice cold against my palm. As we walk the 3 blocks to my house, my mind is already working. I should call Grant, tell him his daughter is alive. I should call the police. But something holds me back. Lila's words echo in my head. She'll be mad. I've known my daughter-in-law Marissa for 12 years. I've never quite trusted her, but I never thought.
No.
I need proof before I make accusations. I need to understand what happened to my granddaughter. For now, I'll get Lila warm and fed. I'll make her feel safe. And then, when she's ready, I'll find out exactly who hurt her. Because whoever did this to her is going to pay. That's not just a promise to Lila. It's a promise to myself. I watch Grant through my kitchen window as he parks his car, fumbling with his keys in a way I haven't seen since he was a teenager. My call had been brief. Come alone. Don't tell Marissa. It's about Lila. That was enough to bring him racing across town at 7 in the morning. Lila's asleep upstairs in my guest room, wrapped in clean blankets, her dirty clothes replaced with an old t-shirt of mine. She'd barely touched the food I offered before exhaustion took over. The back door opens. Mom, Grant's voice cracks. What's going on? I put my finger to my lips, gesturing for him to follow me upstairs. Each creaking floorboard makes me wince. At the guest room door, I pause, watching his face as he peers inside. The color drains from his features. His hand shoots out, gripping the door frame so hard his knuckles turn white. That's not. It can't be. It's her, I whisper. I found her this morning. He takes a stumbling step into the room, then stops. We should call the police. Not yet. I pull him back, closing the door softly. There's something you need to hear first. In the kitchen, Grant paces while I make coffee neither of us will drink. She mentioned someone, Grant. A woman who kept her somewhere. He stops moving. What are you saying? Where was Marissa the night Lila disappeared? Don't. His voice is sharp. Don't go there, Mom. When was the last time she attended one of Oliver's school events? Or stayed home for dinner instead of working late? The questions I've been holding back for months spill out. Have you checked her bank accounts lately? She's working hard to provide for us. But there's uncertainty in his eyes now. The real estate market has been booming for the past year. I finish. I may be retired, but I'm not blind. He slumps into a chair. What did Lila say exactly? Before I can answer, a small voice comes from the doorway.
Daddy.
Grant's head snaps up. Lila stands there, drowning in my old t-shirt, her face a mix of hope and fear. Baby girl. He breathes but doesn't move. Smart man. He remembers how she spooked earlier. Lila takes a tentative step forward. Are you mad at me? Mad. Grant's voice breaks. Why would I be mad? Because I ran away from the cold room. She said you'd be angry if I left. Grant's hands clench into fists. What cold room, sweetheart? But Lila's attention has shifted to the window. A car is pulling into the driveway. Marissa's silver BMW. No. Lila bolts from the room. I hear her feet pounding up the stairs. Keep her away, I tell Grant, already moving to follow Lila. I don't care what you have to say, but don't let her in this house. Through the window, I watch Grant intercept Marissa in the driveway. Their voices are muffled, but their body language speaks volumes. Marissa's perfectly manicured hand reaches for Grant's arm. He steps back. She tries to move past him. He blocks her path. Upstairs, I find Lila wedged between the bed and the wall, shaking. She can't get in, I promise, sitting on the floor nearby. Your daddy won't let her. She always gets in, Lila whispers. She has keys to everything. A chill runs down my spine as I remember the spare key I gave Marissa years ago. I never asked for it back. Below, I hear the back door open. The first thing I do after Marissa leaves is call Jasper. My hands shake as I dial, memories of that confrontation still fresh. The way she'd breezed into my kitchen like she owned it, all perfect makeup and practiced smile. The way Lila's screams had torn through the house when she heard Marissa's voice. Evie. Jasper's gruff voice brings me back to the present. It's been a while. I need your help. I glance at Grant, who's sitting at my kitchen table, head in his hands. Remember that favor you owe Thomas? A pause. Your husband made me promise to look after you. What's wrong? I tell him everything. About finding Lila, about the cold room, about Marissa's reaction when she saw Grant blocking the door. She wasn't surprised, I say. She wasn't even confused. She just smiled. Don't do anything yet, Jasper says. I'll be there in 20 minutes. While we wait, I try to coax more information from Lila. She's curled up in the window seat, wrapped in a blanket, watching the street like a sentry. Can you tell me about the cold room, sweetheart? She traces patterns on the window glass. It was in the basement, with the boxes. What kind of boxes? Real estate ones. With papers. She stops drawing. And pictures of other kids. Grant's head snaps up. What kids? The ones who were there before me. She said they were bad, so they had to go away. Lila's voice drops to a whisper. I try to be good. The doorbell rings, making us all jump. Through the peephole, I see Jasper, looking more weathered than the last time I saw him at Thomas's funeral. Jesus, he mutters when he sees Lila. Then, more professionally, hello there, young lady. I'm an old friend of your grandmother's. Lila doesn't respond, but she doesn't hide either. Progress. Jasper settles into an armchair, his detective's eyes taking everything in. Grant, I need you to tell me about your family's finances. What does that have to do with? Everything. Jasper cuts in. Your wife's a real estate agent, right? How's business? She says it's good. Great, actually. We just bought a new car. And the money for that came from? Grant frowns. Her commission from the Riverside development deal. She said. He stops, color draining from his face. What? I demand. The development that fell through. She told me last month it was dead, but we still got the money. He pulls out his phone, fingers flying over the screen.
Here.
The deposit came through 2 days after Lila disappeared. Jasper leans forward. How much? $50,000. A small sound makes us all turn. Lila's pressing herself against the window, breath fogging the glass. She's here again. Through the window, I catch a glimpse of silver. Marissa's BMW, idling at the corner. I need to get into your house, Jasper tells Grant. Today, while she's out. If there are records of other children.
No.
Grant stands abruptly. I'll do it. She's my wife. My responsibility. Daddy. Lila's voice is small. There's a hidden door behind the wine rack. That's where she keeps the important stuff. The silence that follows is deafening. Grant looks like he's aged 10 years in 10 seconds. How do you know about the wine rack? You've never been in our basement. Yes, I have. Lila turns from the window, and for the first time, I see anger in her young face. That's where the cold room is. The BMW's engine revs, then fades as Marissa drives away. But we all keep staring at the empty street, the horror of what Lila's saying sinking in. My granddaughter wasn't just taken. She was hidden right under our noses in her own home. And Marissa? She's not just a kidnapper. She's something much worse. The basement door in Grant and Marissa's house stands open like a mouth ready to swallow us whole. Jasper insisted on coming along, but he's keeping watch upstairs while Grant and I descend into the darkness. Each step feels like a betrayal, not of Marissa, but of myself. I trusted her with my grandchildren. The wine rack's over here, Grant says, his flashlight beam dancing across bottles. His hands shake as he runs them along the edge. I don't see any.
Click.
The rack swings forward, revealing a narrow passage. The air that rushes out is stale, carrying the metallic tang of fear. I'll go first, I say, but Grant's already pushing past me. The hidden room is smaller than I expected, maybe 12 by 12. Metal filing cabinets line one wall. A small cot sits in the corner, its thin blanket neatly folded. On the opposite wall, a cork board displays photographs, dozens of them. Children's faces stare back at us, some smiling, some not. Oh God. Grant stumbles backward. These are from her development projects. The families she helped relocate. I'm already pulling open filing cabinet drawers. Inside, manila folders are labeled with children's names. Some have red X's marked across them. Mom. Grant's voice cracks. Look at this. He's holding a leather-bound notebook. Inside, in Marissa's precise handwriting, are lists of names, dates, and dollar amounts. Next to each entry is a note. Accepted payment. Refused offer. Alternative arrangement required. My phone buzzes. Jasper's warning signal. Footsteps creak overhead. Hide. I hiss, pushing Grant toward the passage. But we're too late. I wondered when you'd find it. Marissa stands in the doorway, Oliver clutching her hand. My youngest grandson looks confused, tired. Oliver, sweetie, go wait upstairs like Mommy told you. Where's Daddy? Now, Oliver. Small feet patter away. Marissa steps into the room, closing the door behind her. The click of the lock is deafening. You don't understand, she says, almost gently. These children needed help. Their families were desperate, drowning in debt, facing eviction. I gave them a choice. A choice? Grant's voice is barely recognizable. You took our daughter. I protected her. Marissa's composure cracks. You think social services would have let us keep the kids once they discovered our financial situation? The gambling debts you thought I didn't know about. Grant flinches. I step between them, my mind racing. Where's Jasper? Why hasn't he burst in? The other children. I say carefully. Where are they? Safe. With families who could afford them. Her smile is almost serene. The system fails these kids. I just redistribute them to homes that can provide better lives. You sell children. The words taste like acid. I save them. She reaches into her pocket, pulls out a phone. And now I have to save Oliver too. The screen shows a video feed, Oliver in the back of a car, someone else at the wheel. My associate will take good care of him until this blows over. Her voice hardens. Unless you'd prefer I call the police? Tell them how you kidnapped Lila. Turn my husband against me. They'll find this room, Grant says. Will they? In an hour, everything here will be gone. Just like it was gone from the other properties. She steps closer. So here's your choice. Walk away now. Forget what you've seen, and Oliver comes home tonight. Or push this, and you'll never see either of my children again. My hand finds the heavy flashlight in my pocket. One swing is all it would take. But Oliver's face fills my mind, scared, alone, with some stranger. Tick-tock, Marissa says softly. What's it going to be? Behind her, the door opens silently. Jasper stands there, his gun trained on Marissa's back. But his slight head shake tells me everything. We don't have proof of Oliver's location. Not yet. Sometimes revenge has to wait. Jasper's living room feels too small for the weight of what we're planning. Maps and documents cover every surface. Property records, bank statements, photographs. Evidence of Marissa's network spreading across 3 states like a cancer. She's meeting someone tonight, Jasper says, tapping a surveillance photo. At the Riverside development site. That's where the money came from, Grant mutters. He hasn't slept in days. None of us have. The deal that wasn't supposed to exist. I study the woman in the photo standing beside Marissa, tall, elegant, with steel gray hair. Who is she? Margaret Whitmore. Jasper's voice is grim. Real estate mogul, philanthropist, and, according to my sources, the mastermind behind this whole operation. They call her the facilitator. My phone vibrates, a text from the neighbor watching Lila. All okay. Still sleeping. We need to move tonight, I say, before they relocate Oliver. Mom, we don't even know if he's there. I point to another photo, barely visible in the stack. A construction site trailer at Riverside, curtains drawn, but a small handprint clearly visible on the window. That's Oliver's height. Grant reaches for his car keys, but Jasper stops him. We do this wrong. We lose everything, including our shot at Whitmore. I don't care about Whitmore. Grant's voice cracks. That's my son. And she's the only one who can bring down the entire operation. I force myself to sound calmer than I feel. If we just get Oliver back, the other children? The words die in my throat as my phone rings. Marissa's name flashes on the screen. Speaker. Jasper mouths, already recording. Hello, Evie. Marissa's voice is honey sweet. I thought you might like to know that Oliver's asking for his grandmother. Isn't that precious? My hands shake. Let me talk to him. Oh, I don't think so. Not until you return what you took from the basement. We didn't. The notebook, Evie. Margaret's quite upset about it. She's starting to question my judgment in handling this situation. A pause. She's suggesting we might need to make an example. Grant lunges for the phone, but Jasper holds him back. You have 1 hour, Marissa continues. Bring the notebook to Riverside. Come alone, or Oliver joins the other redistributed children. And this time, you won't find him. The line goes dead. It's a trap, Jasper says quietly. Of course it is. I'm already moving, gathering what I need. But she doesn't know about the copies we made. Or the GPS tracker you put on her car. Mom, no. Grant blocks the door. Let me go. She'll be watching for you. I touch his cheek, remembering the little boy who once needed my protection. Now I have to protect his children. Besides, I'm just a harmless old woman, remember?
Evie.
Jasper's voice stops me at the door. What aren't you telling us? I think of the gun in my purse, the one Thomas left me. The one I promised him I'd never need. Sometimes, I say carefully, the only way to protect someone is to become the very thing they need protection from. Mom, take care of Lila. I meet Grant's eyes. And be ready to move when I call. Outside, the setting sun paints the sky blood red. As I drive toward Riverside, I think about Marissa's words, making an example. Well, 2 can play that game. Margaret Whitmore wants to meet the opposition. She's about to learn why you don't threaten a grandmother's cubs, even if it means becoming a monster to fight one. The Riverside construction site looms ahead, a skeleton of steel beams against the night sky. I park where they can see me coming. No point pretending this isn't a trap. The notebook weighs heavy in my purse, along with Thomas's gun. A figure emerges from the trailer. Marissa, her designer heels somehow pristine despite the muddy ground. Behind her, Margaret Whitmore stands in the doorway, one hand resting possessively on Oliver's shoulder. "Pat her down," Whitmore orders. Her voice matches her appearance, refined, cold, efficient. Marissa's hands are clinical as she searches me, removing both the gun and the notebook. "Really, Evie? A weapon?" "Where are the copies?" Whitmore asks. "Safe." I keep my eyes on Oliver. He's pale but unharmed, clutching his favorite dinosaur toy. Like the evidence we sent to every news outlet in state. Whitmore's smile doesn't waver. "Ah yes, your insurance policy. Clever. But ultimately futile." She gestures to someone behind me. "Show her why." A phone screen appears in front of my face. On it, Grant's house is visible, illuminated by security lights. A red dances across Lila's bedroom window. "Your choice," Whitmore says softly. "Which grandchild lives?" The world tilts sideways. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" She pulls out her own phone, dials. "Take the shot." "Wait." The word tears from my throat. "I'll tell you where everything is. Just, please." "Mom," Oliver's voice quavers. "It's okay, sweetheart. Everything's going to be." The gunshot cuts through the night like thunder. For one horrible moment, I think they've killed Lila. Then pain explodes in my shoulder, spinning me to the ground. "That was a warning," Whitmore says. "The next one won't be." Through the haze of pain, I see Oliver break free, running toward me. Marissa grabs him, but he fights, kicking and screaming. "Grandma, let go. She's hurt. Take him inside," Whitmore orders. "And get rid of her. Make it look like a robbery gone wrong." Marissa hesitates. "Margaret, maybe we should."
Now, dear.
"Unless you'd prefer I handle both problems at once." As Marissa drags Oliver away, his screams echo across the construction site. I try to stand, but hands force me back down. Through my good shoulder, I feel the cold press of a gun barrel. "Wait," I gasp. "You need me. The evidence." "We'll die with you." Whitmore kneels beside me, her expensive perfume mixing with the copper smell of blood. "You know what your mistake was, Evelyn? Thinking love could triumph over necessity. These children, they're investments. Assets. The families we place them with understand this. They pay well for the privilege. They're children," I spit, "not commodities. Everything has a price." She stands, brushing dirt from her knees. "Even justice." The gun presses harder. I close my eyes, thinking of Thomas, of the promise I made to protect our family. I've failed. Failed Lila, failed Oliver, failed. A new sound cuts through the night. Sirens. Multiple sirens, getting closer. "Margaret." Marissa's voice carries from the trailer. "Police. They're everywhere." Whitmore's composure cracks. "How?" "The toy?" I laugh, though it sends fresh pain through my shoulder. "Oliver's dinosaur. It has a tracker. And a microphone. Say hello to the FBI, Margaret." Her face contorts with rage. The gun swings toward me. 2 shots ring out. Whitmore crumples, revealing Jasper behind her, his service weapon steady. "Sorry I cut it so close," he says, helping me up. "Had to make sure we got everything on tape." Through the trailer window, I see Grant hugging Oliver while officers cuff Marissa. More children emerge, led by social workers, the missing ones from Whitmore's operation. But as darkness creeps at the edges of my vision, I realize we're not done. Somewhere in this network, other Whitmores are still operating. Other children are still waiting to be found. And I'm not finished hunting yet. The hospital room feels too small for all the tension it holds. My shoulder throbs beneath fresh bandages as I watch Marissa through the window, handcuffed to her bed, 2 officers stationed outside. She hasn't stopped crying since they brought her in. "She's asking to speak with you," Jasper says quietly. "Says she'll only tell the whole story to you." Grant stands by the window, his face hard. "You don't owe her anything." but I'm already moving. Because I saw something in Marissa's eyes when Whitmore fell. Not relief, not anger, but recognition. Like she was seeing her own ghost. The officers step aside as I enter. Marissa looks smaller somehow, stripped of her designer clothes and perfect makeup. Her wrists are raw, where the handcuffs meet skin. I was 13, she says before I can speak, when my father sold me to pay his gambling debts. The words hang in the air between us. I sit, letting silence do its work. Margaret saved me. Her laugh is hollow. That's what I thought then. She placed me with a wealthy family, gave me an education. All I had to do was help her save other children. Like Lila? I never meant. She stops, swallows. Grant was drowning in debt, just like my father. History repeating itself. When Margaret offered a solution, you became the monster that once haunted you. I became a survivor. The words explode from her. You don't understand what it's like, watching everything you love slip away, knowing you're not enough to stop it. No. I lean forward. I watched my husband die of cancer, watched our savings disappear into medical bills, watched my son marry a woman who smiled too perfectly and never quite met my eyes. I understand survival, Marissa, but I also understand choice. She flinches. What do you want from me? Names. Locations. Every child you help traffic. Every family involved in Whitmore's network. They'll kill me. Maybe. I stand, my shoulders screaming. Or maybe you can save yourself this time. Really save yourself, not just survive. Her hands shake as she reaches for the water glass. There's a flash drive, hidden in the base of Oliver's dinosaur toy. Everything's there, accounts, contacts, properties. Even Margaret's superiors. Superiors? She was just middle management. Marissa's voice drops. The real power. They're people you see in the news, on campaign posters. Their reach is everywhere. My phone buzzes, a text from Grant. Lila's asking for you. Why tell me this now? Marissa looks up, and for the first time, I see the scared 13-year-old she once was. Because when Margaret died, I saw myself, what I'd become. And I saw Lila in that cold room, becoming me. I move to the door, then pause. The children you helped place, were they all like you? From desperate families?
No.
Her voice cracks. Some were just convenient, profitable. The rage I've been controlling threatens to burst free. But then I think of Lila, of Oliver, of the healing they'll need. I'll make sure Grant brings the kids to visit. I say finally. In prison. They deserve to understand why their mother made the choices she did. And you deserve a chance to become someone they can forgive. Why would you do that? Because revenge ends today. Tomorrow is about healing. I meet her eyes. And because sometimes the best way to save yourself is to save someone else. As I leave, I hear her start to sob, real tears this time, not the perfect ones she used to cry. Outside, my family waits. Grant, Oliver, Lila, even Jasper. They're broken, scarred, but alive. And sometimes, that's enough to start rebuilding. 6 months later, I sit on my back porch, watching Lila and Oliver chase fireflies in the twilight. They're different children now, still healing but laughing more. The nightmares come less frequently. The envelope in my hands feels heavy. Inside is a letter from Marissa, her first since the sentencing. She's been cooperating with the FBI, helping dismantle Whitmore's network piece by piece. 3 senators have resigned. 2 judges. A police chief. Ice cream. Grant calls from the kitchen. The children rush inside, screen door banging behind them. He's different too. Grayer at the temples, but lighter somehow. Like setting down a weight he didn't know he was carrying. You haven't opened it, Jasper says, settling into the chair beside me. He still comes by most evenings, claiming it's to check on my shoulder. We both know better. Not yet. I watch a firefly land on the railing. Did you know Thomas kept journals? He mentioned them once or twice. I pull out the worn leather book I found in our old filing cabinet. I found his last entry, written the day before he died. The pages fall open to the familiar passage. He wrote about forgiveness, about how it's not a gift you give someone else, but a choice you make for yourself. Sounds like Thomas. A shriek of laughter from inside makes us both smile. Then Jasper's expression turns serious. The task force found another property yesterday, like the ones in Marissa's files. My hands tighten on the journal. Children?
No.
But evidence.
Names.
Dates going back 20 years. He pauses. They want you to consult. Your perspective on the case, your connection with the families. I'm retired, remember? Are you? He nods toward the house. Those kids in there? They're alive because you refuse to stay retired. There are other children out there, Evie. Other families being torn apart. Before I can respond, the screen door opens. Lila stands there, ice cream dripping down her cone. Grandma, can we read another chapter tonight? Of course, sweetheart. She beams, then hesitates. Is that from Mom? I look at the unopened letter.
Yes.
Would you like to read it together? She considers this, then shakes her head. Maybe tomorrow. Tonight's for stories. After she disappears inside, Jasper stands. I'll let the task force know you'll think about it. I haven't said yes. You haven't said no either. He tips his hat. Thomas would be proud, you know, of all of this. Later, after stories and tucking in and one last glass of water, I finally open Marissa's letter. It's short, just a few lines. I dreamed of Lila last night. Not in the cold room, but in your garden, chasing fireflies. I hope that's real, not just my imagination. I hope she's healing. I hope someday she'll understand that I'm trying to heal too. The investigators are coming tomorrow. I'm going to tell them everything. Not for redemption. I don't deserve that yet. But because you showed me that saving yourself means saving others, even if you have to do it from behind bars. I fold the letter, tuck it into Thomas's journal. Outside, the fireflies are still dancing, their light like tiny beacons in the darkness. From upstairs comes the soft sound of children breathing, safe in their dreams. Tomorrow I'll call Jasper. We'll talk about the task force, about other children who need finding, about justice that doesn't end with revenge. But tonight, I'll sit here a little longer, watching the fireflies, remembering how light can pierce even the deepest darkness if you're brave enough to keep looking for it. And sometimes, that's the greatest revenge of all.